Hello, my name is Eva Natanya, and I so look forward to joining Veronica Mary Rolf, as well as Father Laurence Freeman and Giovanni Felicioni, on January 9th, virtually meeting at Bonneval, though of course this is an online event called Risen Life. And this event, this four-way discussion, will focus on the book Living Resurrected Lives, what it means and why it matters, which Veronica Mary Rolf and I have collaborated on for over 4 years now, and it's just been published. I'd say that the book itself has a three-pronged approach. We look at history, we look at philosophy, our very worldview, and contemplation, in order to understand the resurrection of Jesus Christ anew for ourselves individually and for our world. Historically, and this is part of the book principally written by Veronica Mary Rolf, she's done extensive research in critical scholarship, in examining the scriptural accounts of the resurrection appearances again and again, to reestablish a firm bedrock for our faith. We can never prove anything in a scientific or beyond a shadow of a doubt kind of way when it comes to the gospel accounts, but it's to show that this is not beyond reason. It is plausible. In fact, it is the most extraordinary and also believable interpretation of the events recorded by the evangelists, that Jesus was risen from the dead in a completely transformed body. And that is the basis for the Christian faith in a bodily resurrection, not only for Christ, but for all of us. And so then philosophically, we trace the theological accounts, as it were, of what resurrection means, all the way from the epistles of St. Paul, especially 1 and 2 Corinthians, through the church fathers and on to St. Augustine, St. Aquinas, St. Thomas Aquinas, to understand the many different ways in which the great theologians have looked at the resurrection. But then we turn back from our contemporary perspective to ask how many of these arguments still work for us. Do we still have the obsession, as it were, with the material reality of the corpse? Is that the body that will be resurrected? Or what do we actually think matter means? What do we think physicality means? And so we ask some of these questions from the perspective of the very contemporary discoveries, understandings of quantum physics, quantum theory, as well as allowing ourselves, and I in particular, to be influenced by Buddhist thought, in which mind and matter are inextricably interrelated. And in fact, the nature of mind shapes and forms matter. And so in a way, we're looking at how can the most contemporary discoveries of science, as well as the perspectives of Buddhism in particular, but Eastern religion in general, lead us back to perhaps the most authentic, orthodox, canonical view of the resurrection, as opposed to the materialist tendencies of, shall we say, mainstream science that seems to stand so in opposition to the classical Christian faith in the resurrection. So of course, this leads to questions of what actually does happen when we die, what is the meaning of the resurrection in the last days, the last judgment, and so on. So I look forward to a very rousing, intense discussion between Veronica Mary Rolf, Giovanni Felicioni, Father Laurence Freeman, and myself on some of the most difficult, most challenging, and also most deeply inspiring questions that are raised in this book, as well as drawing us into a contemplative path, which, as I mentioned, is the third essential component of our book, and I hope also of our presentation. Because if we can't allow the resurrection and our faith and hope and love in the resurrection to permeate our contemplative practice every single day, every single meditation session. Maybe we haven't gone deep enough to understand how resurrection is the beginning and the pinnacle of Christian faith. So I look forward to joining each of you, wherever you may be in the world, through this online seminar. And may it bring all of us forward in this time of deep crisis, deep questioning, and I pray, deep faith. Have a blessed new year.